freshman, and my major is for animal science.
Hi, my name's Eric Enriquez. I am currently a freshman here at NMSU, but I'm hoping to actually switch my major from animal science to education, and I'm hoping to become a high school math teacher.
Nice to meet you. I'm Alejandro Preciado. My major is animal science, and I'm a freshman at the moment. Freshman and a half if you count credits. And I would like to become a veterinarian in the future.
My name's Dr. Gayleen Fasenko, and I'm a professor at NMSU, and I teach the companion animal program.
I have a couple questions from myself and my fellow teammates, and they're curious, how deep are dogs' emotions?
We're very confident that humans have what we call primary emotions: anger, happiness, fear, sadness. We're not quite as sure if they have secondary emotions. I think there are some secondary emotions they have, like grief, but things like altruism, doing something for somebody else just because you don't get anything out of it, we're not sure about those emotions. But I think over time we have come to understand that the animals that we have domesticated, and in fact wild animals, have a lot more abilities and emotions than we have perhaps given them credit for in the past.
Do they know when someone wants to harm their owner even though the attacker is not doing anything at the moment?
So that's a very interesting question. As we've sort of discussed, dogs do see with their eyes, but their primary sense is their nose. So they do pick up on people's emotions and people's intentions, if you will, through hormones and pheromones that we give off. And so if someone is approaching their owner with bad intentions, there's probably some aggressive hormones being emitted, and they would pick up on that. And depending on the dog, they may or may not, they could react in a very timid way and hide behind the owner, or they could act in a more defensive way, or they could act in a really aggressive way. Now, dogs can't seizure detect right now because we don't know what they are smelling, but we think it's volatile fatty acids that people give off. But like in the case of someone who's a diabetic, they absolutely will and can and are trained to alert them when their blood sugar goes, usually it's too low, but also too high. So in that, if you're asking, like, do they have this kind of ESP sense that they can sense when people are in danger, I don't think they're any better at it than we are. But when it comes to things that they can sense with their noses, they are way better than us, and we need to listen to what they're trying to tell us.
Why do people say dogs are more loyal than cats?
Well, we have domesticated dogs. Dogs are the oldest domesticated animal, and the current science says that it happened. We started domesticating wolves to dogs about 33,000 years ago. That's a long time ago. So basically, they have grown up together, and we have developed this bond with the canine species, the human species and the canine species, which, because of that long relationship, seems pretty darn natural. Cats, we figure that they began domestication of the Near Eastern wildcat around 9,000 years ago, and that's still a long time ago. But we haven't sort of been side by side for as long, so there's that kind of theory. The other theory is, when we were domesticating dogs, we basically bred them so they could physically do different jobs for us: herding, guarding, companion. And cats really only have two jobs: mouser and companion. And the mouser one, they really don't need us to be around. But for things like herding, for hunting, they need us to be around. They have to work together with us. There has to be a special bond and communication. And so maybe I do know that cat breeders are now breeding for temperament more than just looks, and the temperament that people, general public, are wanting is more dog-like. So maybe in 40, 50 years, we might have cats that are presenting themselves as being equally as loyal. And there are some breeds that are pretty needy and attached to humans right now, like the Devon Rex and the Abyssinian. So I don't think that's a fault of the cat. It's just the way biology has worked out and our breeding has worked out.
But when you are trying to create an animal that has the confidence to be okay with you out in the world, which is a very complex place, that kind of training inhibits their desire to be okay with new spaces, to want to learn more. So really what approach you should take is we use reward-based training or positive reinforcement. Now, what people that are advocates of dominance theory training say is that, oh, you're just bribing them or rewarding them all the time, and if they do something that's bad, you don't do anything about it. No, that's not true. We just don't use excessive corporal punishment.
Do you think it's true that dogs can sense when their human is like sad or mad?
Again, that comes back to not like this ESP thing. It's all about the smell. It's all about smelling the stress hormones. Now, what some people have interpreted their dog coming over to them when they're crying is that the dog is showing empathy and the dog is concerned for them. And that could be true. But an alternative hypothesis is that if you are that dog's safe space, if you are that dog's person, if you are that dog's rock, if when they are feeling bad, they go see you, or if they're feeling scared, they go stand beside you. If you're feeling sad, they might come over because now they're feeling stressed out and they're coming to their comfort person, I guess, if you will. Humans are not very good at interpreting visual cues unless they're really overt, like snarling, growling, barking, okay? So things like body posture, cowering, lip licking, yawning, going like this, which is we call hypervigilance, turning their head away, averting eye contact, all of those things are signals that the dog is telling you that it's feeling uncomfortable, anxious, afraid. And you only know by the context of the situation which one of those is really the likely feeling that they're feeling. So a dog is somewhere where there's lots of noise and they come and they sit behind you and they're panting and they're yawning and they're kind of cowering behind you. They're probably afraid of the loud noise. What we allow and what we don't allow in our households, it can't ever be okay in one situation and not okay in another. It just can't. It has to be, if you're going to draw a line in the sand, it always has to be not okay. I'll give you an example. My dogs are allowed on the couch. They sleep with my husband and I in the bed. We have no problem with that. That's not a line in the sand for us. We enjoy their company. When strangers come over or when people come over for a party and they sit on the couch, we don't say to the dogs, get off the couch, you can't be there. That's giving mixed signals. So it's either you let the dogs on the couch and they sit quietly, not crazily, but they sit quietly with your guests, or you don't allow them on the couch at all. It's really important for puppies to stay with mom, and hopefully, if dad's there, or maybe a dog grandma or other dog members of the household, because the adult dogs will absolutely show them boundaries for how to behave and how to interpret dog visual cues, And also puppies learn from each other too. If they're playing and one puppy is playing too hard and bites the other one, that one runs away and they lose their playmate. So then next time when they're playing, hopefully they cue in and they say, well, last time I lost my playmate because I got a little too aggressive. So this time I'm not going to play quite as rough. Or they're playing rough, they bite hard, and then the other puppy says, yeah, you're not going to do that to me, and they bite hard. So there's a learning process between the dogs in the household that is really important for puppies.
Lately, we've seen like in the news or videos that people are starting to use like buttons to communicate with their dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think in the future, if we keep developing that, where we encourage our companions to do that, do you think it can go on through genetics?
Not only, I mean, it's very clear that we can. My guys a couple years ago were trained by students in my behavior and training class to touch buttons and use buttons. We haven't gotten to the point where they touch a certain button for a certain thing that they want, but the buttons are great, but what I'm really interested in is, and I know that there are research labs that use touch screens, so the dog can touch a picture on a touch screen with its nose and, say, hey, I want to go outside, or hey, let's go for a walk, or...
Do you think dogs understand full sentences or just like one word?
I don't think they understand long, compound, complex sentences, but I think they do understand short sentences. Example, my great-grandmother had a border collie, and she would say, Buff, go get the cows. And Buff would go out in the field and go get the cows. So I think shorter sentences are easier for them to comprehend. Like if she said, Buff, what I want you to do this afternoon at 4 o'clock is go out to the north field and get the cows. I don't think the dog would be able to comprehend that. But short sentences, which are much like single or double or two-word commands, would be much easier for them to understand. I don't think they would understand long, complex sentences.
Do you think in the future that could change, where like you keep training them, they might start learning like...
I don't think it would happen in the very near future. Even when people have trained bonobos, chimpanzees, and gorillas sign language, they tend to be very short sentences, like, what do you want to eat? And then the gorilla would say a short sentence and sign banana, or, it's not long, complex sentences. And so the limitation, I think, of their language capabilities is limited by brain size and how much they use that area of the brain. I'm not a neurologist, but I'm pretty sure that the area of our brains that are involved in linguistics and language are much more complex and larger than some of our animal species friends. So it would really have to be probably thousands of years of breeding for the physiological capability to have enough brain space to learn languages and to learn like complex sentences. The first thing my mind goes to as a physiologist is I always tell my students, whenever you look at a dog, you should be thinking that is a big walking nose. So they can detect minute quantities of molecules that we will never hope to. And that really transforms their world, because like I said, while they do see with their eyes, their world is really about seeing with their nose. And so when we take our dog for a walk and then all of a sudden we see them stop and sniffing at a particular spot, we're like, there's nothing there. What are you sniffing at? But there could be a whole host of information there that we can't smell that they do. And so, in that sense, I think we have a hard time understanding, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not that we have a hard time understanding their world, it's just that we don't have the same capabilities. And so, because we don't have the same capabilities, it's harder for us to recognize that something is important to them. So just like I said, you're taking your dog for a walk, all of a sudden they just stop in their tracks and they're smelling one particular spot, and you're like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go to work in a half an hour. Like, can we move along? We're more concerned about our daily schedules and our daily lives. And for them, that smell, whatever they're smelling, is packed full of important information.
Comes between puppies and older dogs. Do you think you have to have more patience to teach an older dog? Or
Actually, I think it's the opposite. Because puppies, the world, just like toddlers and little ones, the world is so new to them that everything is interesting. And so their attention span and their focus is usually much less than an older dog. But that's a very big generalization, because some dogs that are high energy, like say a Malinois, while they can be trained well and they are excellent learners, because of their high energy, you kind of have to harness that energy into, okay, you need to focus on me right now. Don't worry about that bunny over there. Don't worry about that hot dog on the ground. You've got to focus on me right now. But yeah, I think puppies are harder.
Do you recommend to get another dog for that dog, knowing like you might be gone sometime and then they might need a playmate or anything?
So you're talking to someone who, I swear, I came out of the womb loving dogs. If I could have more dogs in my house, and if I feel that I could provide for their needs, their care, give them all the attention they deserve, I would. But I do think over the years I have seen absolutely very strong bonds form between dogs in our household. And I know people have experienced when they have to say goodbye to one dog, if they have to put it down, the other dog reacts in what we would interpret as grief, sorrow. They either look for the dog, they are not wanting to eat, they're not acting like themselves, they don't want to play. So I do absolutely think that strong bonds form, but the primary decision, the primary thing that people should decide is, can you afford another dog? Because they're expensive. And there's always vet care. There's the food costs. There's the time involved in caring for two dogs and giving two dogs attention that they deserve. But I do think that it is pretty special to see how they fit into a human family, and there's more than one dog in the family, and how those dogs basically develop a bond as well.